Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneurship Module 1, and today I want to give you a little walkthrough of the class so you can get a feel for how the course is laid out and how the students interact with it. Once you scroll past the banner and the photos, you come down to the weekly activities. Now week 1 is a little bit different because we have an orientation to the technology, and so in this orientation we have, first of all, there's a nice welcome. Notice that everything is offered in the local language and then in English. So the students can go ahead and read it in the local language, and then faculty and people who are not familiar with the local language can see it in English, but also it kind of gives students a chance to start to familiarize themselves with English and reading in English if that is not their first language. Again, in the first week, this is kind of about getting familiar with the website, with Facebook, with creating a Gmail account if they don't have one, and so forth. So there's a little bit of time that needs to be spent on the orientation of technology. Okay, so then we go into, let's see, once we get past the orientation, now we start to get into the exercises, and again in the local language and then in English. So in this case, they start to build their teams in week 1. They create the teams and they give their teams a name, and they come up with some characteristics of each member of the team that they admire, and they kind of compile all that and then post it. Okay? So, and then there is an exercise to create a team Facebook. The idea is that each team would create their own Facebook and would post their exercises and activities to that Facebook, so they would have an archive of all the work that they did in the entrepreneurship program, and they could actually see how far they've come as they move from beginning of a module to the end of the module and then into the next module and so forth, so they can see how their business idea has really evolved over time. So that's the idea, is for each team or each individual to create a Facebook that they will be posting their assignments and activities to. In this pilot course, students did not do that. They pasted their work directly into the class site, and I will be showing you that. So let's move on to week 2. In week 2, students think like an entrepreneur, and there's an introduction to entrepreneurial thinking. And we also have some more in-depth readings for students sometimes that are offered in Google Docs. So there will be times when there's additional reading for students, and then they will go to Google Docs, first in their local language and then offered in English, and so kind of an overview of one of the concepts that we are teaching about entrepreneurial competencies. Okay, so after they do the reading in each week, then there will be an activity, and that will help them apply the concepts behind the readings. So in this case now there is an exercise around learning to be creative, and there's a fun little activity here, and you can go into the class site. It's open to the public, and you can go ahead and take a look at the activity that the students did. Now once students complete that activity, then in this situation they posted their replies or their homework to the class site. In the future, we would like the teams to post to their own team Facebook site, again, so that there is an archive of all their work. We can then go in, this is their response to the exercise of the week, and one of the things that we have found that's been really positive is that students appreciate feedback directly on the Facebook site. So in this situation, we gave them some feedback on their homework, and then we also gave them a badge. And this is part of the building of self-esteem that you can read more about in our research page on the class site. So now we'll go to week 3 and recognizing a great business idea, and we can go in and see more. And again, there's additional reading on a Google Doc. And once they've completed the reading for the week, then they can go in and actually do the activity. This is kind of a fun activity in which they view a, let's see here. Oh, in which they view a video of a couple of entrepreneurs. And then once they view the video, then they go ahead and break out the roles and activities and tasks associated with that particular business and that entrepreneurial skill set. So they start kind of delving into the business and what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Once they've done that, then they go ahead and describe the roles that they see and the tasks that they see. And once again, the students in this class posted their responses directly to this website, and then they got some positive feedback again to help build self-esteem and a badge. And what we found in our research around self-esteem is they really appreciated that feedback and that badge. It really meant a lot to them to feel like they were noticed, that their work was valid and appropriate, and that it was of quality. And you can see that the student really appreciated that, and she gave us a thank you for her badge. So that's pretty much the format of the Facebook site. You can see that each week has a reading. Whoops. You can see that each week has a reading, attachments or links to Google Docs, possibly to go deeper into the reading of the skill that is being taught that week. And then there's an exercise that is attached to the reading, again, in the local language as well as in English. And then the students will go ahead. In this situation, the students pasted their response to the exercises into the Facebook site, but eventually our vision is where they have their own team site or individual site where they can post their responses to each of the exercises, archive those exercise responses, and see how they've evolved over time. Now there's one more component to this in addition to the badges, which again we find are very important, and that is the face-to-face component. And we believe that this is critical to the success of the class with the students that we've been working with. It may be that in the future you have students that are more self-sufficient in terms of working online, but in this situation we find that it really helps to have an instructor or a facilitator or guide working with the students in a face-to-face situation and helping them think through those exercises and activities. In this case, you're seeing Dr. Michael Schaefer working with the students on the technical support of it, and you might actually have someone different, perhaps a high school student or somebody to help the class develop their Facebook sites and their Google, their Gmail accounts. So you don't necessarily want to use the resource of the master faculty or the instructor as a tech support in the orientation process, but you do really want to have somebody who's savvy with working with students and helping pull the ideas out of the students without putting words in their mouth, and to help them really think through and become enthusiastic about their business ideas and really get excited and work that business idea through using the exercises that are developed in the class. So that's the last piece that we found is important, is a weekly site visit, and that could be done remotely, but it needs to be synchronous in that all the students and the faculty are on at the same time, either online at the same time, perhaps using Skype, or in a face-to-face situation. So that's the last piece, and we do on our website have a link to the instructor example. We have it in the Train the Trainer. We will also be putting it on this first page, but we have a link to an example of a Train the Trainer segment where Dr. Michael Schaefer is showing the class how to understand value creation, and he's setting a great example of how to help students understand that concept. So that's the last piece that we find is really important in the success of this class, is either online synchronous through Skype or some kind of opportunity in that way, or in a face-to-face situation where students can work together around a table and look at the exercises and think them through. Okay, we are available for all questions, and we hope that this walkthrough was helpful. Thank you.